The volcanic winter of 536 was among the most severe and protracted episodes of climatic cooling in the northern hemisphere in the last 2,000 years. The volcanic winter was caused by at least 3 simultaneous eruptions of uncertain origin, with several possible locations proposed in various continents. Modern scholarship has determined that in early AD 536 or possibly late 535, an eruption ejected massive amounts of sulfate aerosols into the atmosphere, which reduced the solar radiation reaching the Earth's surface and cooled the atmosphere for several years. In March 536, Constantinople began experiencing darkened skies and lower temperatures. Summer temperatures in 536 fell by as much as 2.5 degrees Celsius, 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in Europe. The lingering effect of the volcanic winter of 536 was augmented in 539 to 540, when another volcanic eruption caused summer temperatures to decline as much as 2.7 degrees Celsius, 4.9 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in Europe. There is evidence of still another volcanic eruption in 547, which would have extended the cool period. The volcanic eruptions caused crop failures and were accompanied by the plague of Justinian, famine, and millions of deaths, and initiated the late antique Little Ice Age, which lasted from 536 to 660. Historian Michael McCormick has called the year 536 the beginning of one of the worst periods to be alive, if not the worst year. Under Emperor Justinian I, the Byzantine Empire experienced a period of ambitious expansion and significant internal development, often referred to as its Golden Age. Justinian's reign, 527 to 565 AD, was marked by large-scale military campaigns to reclaim lost territories of the Roman Empire, monumental building projects, and legal reforms. Ambitions. Justinian's primary ambition was to restore the Roman Empire to its former glory by reconquering lost territories in the West. This vision drove his military campaigns and shaped his policies. Wars. Justinian's military campaigns focused on reconquering North Africa from the Vandals, Italy from the Ostrogoths, and parts of Spain. The Vandalic War, led by Belisarius, was a key early conflict aimed at removing the Vandal threat to Byzantine trade routes. The Gothic War in Italy was a protracted and costly struggle to regain control of the peninsula. Infrastructure projects. Justinian invested heavily in infrastructure, including the construction of numerous churches, public buildings, and fortifications. The most famous example is Hagia Sophia, a magnificent church in Constantinople that symbolized divine wisdom and imperial power. He also oversaw the restoration of the Anatolian road system and the construction of important bridges, such as the Sangarios Bridge. Several Chinese dynasties experienced periods of stability prior to periods of climatic instability. The Han, 206 BCE to 20 CE, Tang, 618 CE, 907 CE, and later dynasties are often cited as examples of stability. These periods were characterized by strong governance, economic prosperity, and societal development. However, shifts in climate, particularly periods of cold and drought, have been linked to social unrest, dynastic transitions, and even the collapse of some dynasties. Early medieval Europe, roughly 5th to 10th centuries, saw the fragmentation of the Western Roman Empire and the rise of various Germanic kingdoms. These kingdoms, often formed by migrating tribes, included the Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Anglo-Saxons, Franks, and Lombards. The Byzantine Empire, as the continuation of the Roman Empire in the East, also played a significant role. Here's a more detailed look at some key kingdoms. Visigothic Kingdom, established in Aquitaine, southwestern Gaul, and later moved to Iberia. The Visigoths eventually controlled much of the Iberian Peninsula. Anglo-Saxon kingdoms of Britain. Following the withdrawal of Roman legions, various Anglo-Saxon kingdoms emerged in Britain, including Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria. Frankish Kingdom. Under the Merovingian dynasty, the Franks expanded their their territory in Gaul, modern-day France, and parts of Germany, and became a dominant power. Lombard Kingdom. The Lombards established a kingdom in Italy, which lasted for several centuries. Byzantine Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire, with its capital in Constantinople, continued to thrive, preserving Roman law and culture. Other kingdoms, smaller kingdoms, and successor states also emerged, including the Kingdom of the Suebi in Galicia, northwestern Spain, and various British kingdoms in Wales and Cornwall after the Roman withdrawal. Impact on agriculture. Crop failure. The unusual weather patterns, including prolonged frost and unseasonable drought, severely impacted crop yields. The sky was described as being stretched like a hide, preventing sunlight from reaching the earth, further hindering plant growth. Food shortages. The failure of crops led to widespread food shortages, forcing people to rely on stored food supplies, which were likely depleted quickly. Agricultural stagnation. Archaeological evidence, particularly from Sweden, indicates a stagnation in agriculture, with a decline in crop cultivation and animal husbandry. Shifts in farming practices. In some regions, like Estonia, the climate crisis led to a shift in agricultural practices, with a greater emphasis on rye cultivation. Several ancient and medieval trade routes connected continents. The Silk Road, a network of land and sea routes, primarily linked Asia with the Mediterranean and Europe. The Indian Ocean trade routes connected East Africa, the Middle East, India, Southeast Asia, and China. The Trans-Saharan trade route connected North and West Africa. Here's a more detailed look. Silk Road. This network of routes, active from the 2nd century BCE to the mid-15th century, facilitated the exchange of goods like silk, spices, and ideas between the East and West. It spanned over 6,400 kilometers, 4,000 miles on land. Indian Ocean trade. This maritime route connected diverse regions through sailing ships, enabling trade in bulk commodities like those used by the Romans in the 2nd century BCE, according to Wikipedia. Trans-Saharan trade. This route, facilitated by camel caravans, linked North and West Africa, contributing to the exchange of goods and cultural ideas across the Sahara Desert. Other routes. The incense route, controlled by the Arabs, brought frankincense and myrrh from South Arabia. Maritime trade also involved coastal routes and the manipulation of monsoon winds. Largely Christian, with the Byzantine Empire and Western Europe heavily influenced by the Church. The year is considered one of the worst in human history due to a mysterious fog that caused a volcanic winter, leading to widespread famine and disease. This event, coupled with the existing political and social instability, led to a sense of despair and a reliance on religious explanations and institutions for solace and guidance. Here's a more detailed look. Christianity's dominance. Christianity was the dominant religion in the Byzantine Empire and Western Europe during this period, with the Church holding significant power and influence. The Church's role. The Church provided explanations for the calamities of 536, attributing them to divine punishment or the wrath of God. Justinian's influence. Emperor Justinian, who ruled the Byzantine Empire, also influenced religious explanations for calamities. People looked to religious leaders and institutions for answers to the widespread suffering caused by the volcanic winter and its aftermath.